Hello everybody, it's me again, and today I'm going to be talking all about how to make the content creation process feel like fun, because that is an actual thing that can happen. It doesn't always have to feel like this long, drawn out, torturous process that is just yet another thing to do on your never-ending Asana list. It can be a way to express yourself. It can be a way to play and experiment and get creative in your business aside from what you do as your core products or services. And I'm super duper passionate about this. It's something that I talk about a lot if you follow my posts and stories. But today I just wanted to share one of the things that really has helped me find more joy in my own content creation process. And I'm somebody who creates content a lot because obviously it's what I teach, but it's also what I do to market my business, and it's a service I offer to my one-on-one clients. So I create content for multiple businesses every single day, and it can be depleting, it can be draining, but you've really got to figure out a way to make it fun. And do you ever feel like you're drowning in a sea of marketing musts and shitty business shoulds? Yeah? Well, you're in the right place. Your Biz, Your Rules is here to help you kick that crap out of the road so you can build your biz your way. I mean, don't get me wrong, none of you guys are going to have to create the amount of stuff that I do, because you're probably, if you're watching this, just going to be creating stuff for your own business. But there's still many a way that you can add a little bit more fun to the mix, add a little bit more pleasure, and, that will come across your people too. Because I always say that if you are really dreading creating content and you really struggle to do it, your people will feel that. They will feel your reluctance, and you don't want them to have that same kind of ick when they're reading your stuff or watching your stuff. You want them to feel engaged and enthusiastic and just really part of this buzzing community, right? So today, like I said, I'm going to be sharing the one very, very simple thing that I do to put the fun back into content creation. And it's kind of idiot proof, as much of my stuff seems to be, but it's all around creating a delightful creative ritual. So when you have habits or rituals or routines for certain tasks, it's really a way to train your brain to trigger your mind for excellence. So you are telling your mind that you are going to do that thing, whatever it is, and you're going to be in flow and you're going to do it really well. So I have a very specific formula for creating content rituals, and I'm actually going to share the outline of that with you today so that you can implement it and do it for yourself. So the first thing to really think about is the timing of your creation blocks. So think about what your life actually looks like right now. Do you have commitments that sort of cast off certain portions of your schedule? For example, do you have to do the school drop-off at a certain time every day? If yes, those chunks of time, we're not going to be looking at those. If you have standing weekly calls that you have to attend every single week, we're going to discount those blocks of time. If you have certain times when you have to be working with clients, or certain times when you have to be out of the house, certain times when you have to be feeding a farm full of animals, think about what time you actually have available every single week and then mark it into your calendar. Now, I always recommend actually physically putting it into your diary or calendar, because this sort of safeguards that space for you to get creative. And creativity works very well with constraints, whether that is time constraints or some other kind of constraints. It's the thing that really gives you the structure that you need to be able to get in there and have some fun and create loads of stuff. So your first thing is to just look at what your schedule is already like and block out time. And what I would also recommend you do when you do this is to think about your own habits, your own quirks, your own tastes, and decide whether you want maybe just one big block of time a week that you're going to create, or maybe shorter chunks of time that you could put in a few times a week to create. Some people work really, really well when they're batching mass amounts of stuff at once. Other people like to break this type of task up into little chunks. Either one is completely fine. It's going to be personal, so really look to yourself and think about what your tastes are. So we've looked at timing. Next, I want you to think about the scope of your blocks of time. So how will you know if one session of content creation has been successful? Would you want to write a certain number of words? Would you want to record a certain number of videos? What makes it a big tick in the box? So you want to get really clear, not just on the time you're going to spend, but on what you're going to create in each of those time blocks. Because once we have all of this boring structural stuff done, then we get to inject some of the fun, inject some of the flim-flam, and really have a good old time as we do this stuff. So do those little bits first, your little homework assignments, just to think about the timeline and the scope of your content sessions. So once we've got that clear, now let's do some fun brainstorming. So think about the last time that you created anything, it doesn't have to be content, in full flow, and you just got in there and you were in the rhythm of everything and it just came out of you with ease and zero effort. That's what we're going for. And if you're listening to this and thinking, actually, I've never created anything that effortlessly, things have always been painful for me to create, then don't think about creating content. Don't think about what you would consider creative activities. Think about any time when you have just felt that flow and ease. So it could be when you've been playing a particular sport. It could be when you've been on a really nice walk with your dogs. It could have been when you just went for cocktails with your friends. Just think of any times in your life, any experiences that just felt good and felt easy. When you've noted that down, you might have a few. I want you to look at each of those stories, each of those experiences critically, and think about all of the different things that made those things such a joy. Because we're going to look at different ways that you can replicate those in your time blocks that you set aside for content creation, so that again you can feel that flow and you can feel that fun. So I'll give you a few examples of things just to get those sparks flying, and also share some stories of my own. So for me, one of the big things is a playlist. So I have a couple of playlists that I've created filled with songs that really get my juices flowing. They get me in a really good mood. They get me really just, I don't know, the party vibes are going and I'm just really enthusiastic and excited to get stuff done. So whenever I listen to those playlists, it's a trigger for me to sit down and create something. Another one is I have this tea that I love. It's like this really fancy loose leaf tea that's pretty expensive, so I don't drink it all the time. But when I brew myself a cup of that tea, I know that I'm gonna sit down and be cozy with my desk blanket and write some blog posts. Other things you might think about are where you're physically working. Are you at your desk, or do you move to a chair in the garden? Do you have a hammock? Do you cozy up on the sofa? Do you work from bed? Just what makes you feel good? What makes you feel good? So think with all of your senses. So think the things that you're feeling, so your environment. Think the things that you can see. So do you want to be looking at maybe a beautiful landscape instead of a messy room? Or do you want to be looking at that gorgeous piece of art you have on your wall rather than a messy room? You might have guessed I have a lot of messy rooms in my house. And then think about sounds. Do you want loads of background noise? Do you want the noise of traffic? Or do you want some chill out music? Do you just want to be able to hear your diffuser in the background? Do you want to listen to your favourite songs? Do you want to listen to an audiobook, a podcast, have the TV on in the background? All of these things, just really think about them and think about how you can replicate all of those things that make you feel like you're having fun, that make you feel like you're in flow, and bring them to your workday. There are endless possibilities for a content creation ritual. You can have so much fun with this. so much fun. And you can create different rituals for different types of content. So you might do something completely different for, like, let's say you do a weekly live stream. Your ritual is going to look different than it does when you're sitting down to batch, say, a month's worth of newsletters. It just is. It's a different type of activity, so it's going to look differently. And that's fine. There is no limit to how many of these little routines you can create, but it's just such a fantastic way to bring a bit more fun, bring a bit more enthusiasm into the process of creation itself, because it's so easy to get caught in that treadmill of just feeling like it's a chore and feeling like it's something that has to be done, when it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. It is 100% something that is going to enhance your business. It is going to really change the way your community feels when engaging with you. So it is undoubtedly important, but it doesn't have to be a job. It doesn't have to feel like work. It can just be work. So work with a smile instead of work with a big fat groan. So I want you guys to really think about that and think about what your new rituals could look like. And I'll be thrilled to hear some examples if you want to share them. If you want to share them on Instagram, in stories or something, feel free to tag me so that I can come along and have a little nosy and see what you come up with. Because I'm so adamant that this is the thing that really switches up the way you work when you create content. Because as a consumer, I can really, and it's not just because I'm a content person, but when I'm reading other people's stuff, I can tell instantly if they've wanted to write that thing, if they've enjoyed writing that thing, or if it's agony for them. Because some people just don't like it, and that's fine, but then you have to just think about things that will enhance the experience and make you like it. If you've been listening for a while now, you'll know that I love to give you all a little piece of actionable homework every single week, and this week is no different. So what I'd really love for you to do is to design your own fabulous new creative ritual and share the details in an Instagram post or an Instagram story, and make sure you tag me. So tag me at Dara Charlotte and use the Your Biz Your Rules hashtag, and you'll be eligible to win this month's totally free one-to-one coaching session. Thank you so much for listening. I genuinely hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed creating it, because seriously, I love this stuff. Now, if you'd like to take it a little bit further, if you'd like to learn more from me, just have a bit of a chat, or share your thoughts on this show, then please do come find me on Instagram. My handle is @Dara Charlotte. I'll see you there.